PTG, Proxy Table Gaming. I'm Hyper G, Lucky Sixes.
Yellow.
Hello. We are through the Wales tournament.
We are.
We have realised that the rules have changed a lot
Yeah. Oh my goodness. We
since
are
that
gaming
tournament.
anew.
Because, the rules are changing. We're not changing. And we need to report
We're
on
not
it.
changing. We're not changing for no one.
No, no, but we will try and do the right rules.
Yeah. So
Nice.
as
I like
far as
that.
yeah, I'm gonna keep it. I like the spinny thing, but as far as I know,
Mm,
it's October the 22nd. I think of October 24th. So there is
something like that.
some other
Yeah.
ones due. There's even a roadmap actually. If you go
Oh,
on online on the forum, I think that
brum
they've
brum.
shared.
Mm.
But yeah, we are up to date as of as of recording.
Yeah, as of recording, and no doubt there'll be another couple of changes coming up. Maybe, don't know. I mean, we just keep our ears to the ground, and when we have a battle, we try and work out what the rules are for that battle, don't we? Really?
We do.
Yeah. And if those changes happen in the battle that we report, we will highlight them. So, in the spirit of keeping up to date with things, we decided to have a random friendly battle
We did. Yes. This
because
is
we were going on a boys' weekend, weren't we? We thought,
we
what better
were.
way to start than having a ninth age battle?
Yeah, and yeah. So these are our evolutions from the Cardiff. You've
Hmm.
sort of evolved your Saurian list, and I've turned
Heavily.
undead.
Yeah, you turned undead. Speaking with your best friend Elliot about vampire
Mm.
badness and goodness,
Yeah,
depending on which side of the
there's
fence you're on.
something about his French charisma. I just can't. Oh, I
Yeah,
love it.
you've been hooked. You are
I
hooked.
am.
Yeah.
But you
Yeah,
have
but
just
before we get to
continued.
that,
Yeah, continued the Saurian.
yeah, I mean, you can't argue against the fact that my list at Cardiff didn't work. You know, obviously a lot of it is user area error because I'm rubbish, but the Cardiff results were one of my poorest tournaments in a little while. So I wanted to do a whole scale change, and plus with the changes in ninth age rules and everything, why not change it
Yeah,
up every now and again? I couldn't use the whole if it ain't broke, don't fix it because it was broke, so
it's
it needed
broke.
fixing.
Yeah.
So um, I may still be broke, but I could fix the list. Oh, I don't know. Anyway, so the Anorak is back in, having been cut from the list moments before I submitted it for Wales. So he goes back in because maybe he was the maybe I should have kept him in the first place. Who knows?
Yeah, it
Um,
was.
and the Tegu Mystics are out, even though I really enjoy playing them and
I
still
know.
do.
Yeah.
I don't know why they just didn't seem to. Anyway, the whole list didn't work. We'll leave it at that. We're starting again. So, Divination Anorak. I liked the way it augments various aspects of the
And
army and also
he was
causes a
channel
threat.
4 on
So,
his own, right?
yeah, channel 4 on his own because he's got Veil Mastery, which gives channel 2. And obviously, Masters have channel 2.
Yeah,
So,
incredible.
pretty cool. Yeah, pretty cool. Guiding Mastery means that you can choose a Magnusaur unit within 18 inches and they get to reroll failed charge range, which is really cool. So, very useful because I've got a Raptor Rider unit. There's a whole load of Magnusaurs in the list, to be fair. Which is the word they're using for dinosaur, in case you're wondering. The Scroll of Power allows you to sacrifice a magic dice to make up for a failed casting or or dispel, which I think is really cool. It's one use only. Magical Heirloom just means he gets his the Saurian Hereditary, which is a reroll ones to hit spell, which is really cool because it works well with Stars Align in Divination, which is reroll all to hit. So you've got two versions of rerolling to hit effects, basically. That's what I'm going with. Skink Veteran on a Taurosaur. I've sort of played my Skink Veteran on a Taurosaur in various iterations, and this is just the latest one.
Hmm.
I've given him a magnetic great bow, which, as you'll see, kind of fits into the new theme that I'm going with. And also got the Stampede Resonator Crystal, which means he can convert his stomp attacks into impact hits, which is very useful when you are going against something that you can't stomp. And you can hopefully get the charge off on it, which makes 2d6 impact hits. Very cool. No, it's not 2d6, whatever it is, but Adds D6 anyway. So yeah, and I've got the Enclave Wizard on that Skink Veteran as well to give him an invocation spell, which is Whispers of the Veil for a -1 res spell, which is nice. Always useful to have that available. The Skink Veteran is where I go even more obviously into the shooting direction. I gave him Trusted Advisor because at Cardiff I really struggled with the secondary objectives that Saurians have got. Like, it seemed like no matter what I rolled, it was really hard for me to win my secondary objective. Now, again, user error. I'll say that lots. But also, I just didn't seem to get the secondary objectives that I needed to suit my army.
We both didn't really look at the objectives, if we're honest.
No,
and we
not
still,
to
I
build
don't
lists,
think, really have at this point while we're trying to get to
No.
grips with the game. So
Yeah,
I think there might be some obvious things once we get to know the objectives a bit more that make the changes. But
yeah. But I went with Trusted Advisor so I could roll 2 of the 3 secondary objectives and choose which one I wanted to see if I liked it for this battle. Spoiler alert, I'm not putting it in again. He's also got a magnetic short bow and alchemical arrows, which is something that I've tried a few times and really like in our very first 9th Age 3.0 battle, in fact. So I've gone back to that. He's got an obsidian rock just to protect his unit of Skink Gorillas. He goes in with the 13 Skink Gorillas with magnetic short bows. That just means that if he hits with any one of his 4 shots, all of that unit's shooting is strength 4, which is really cool. So I like that. Then for core, I've gone very much just fill it out and get some scoring units in. Basically, there is nothing special in this core. So it's 15 Tegel Warriors with an ether icon because I have 10 points to spend, where the Anorak hides as a bunker. You got 20 Skink Warriors, and they've got Wizard Conclave with Entwining Roots. Now, Entwining Roots, I was using the old version of it, and then when I read it, the new version of it in this battle, I was like, yeah, that's not as good. Still somewhat useful, but not as good. So I'm not sure if I'll stick with that. 4 Kaiman Warriors, Tooth and Claw, literally just there to be scoring, but they've got a few attacks on them. And then 2 units of Skink Hunters. I missed having 2 units of them at Cardiff, so 2 units goes in now. 1 unit just wasn't enough. 12 Raptor Riders, sticking with them because I needed another scoring and a unit that was a little bit beefier. And with the Guiding Mastery, they can reroll a charge, so that's cool. Then 2 Thyroscutus Herd. They've also both got magnetic great bows, meaning that a maximum magnetic great bows, 3 selected. And yeah, it's kind of like leaning me more towards shooting, and I'm going to see how they do. So those Thyroscuters are not hiding in units of Tegel Warriors to give them parry anymore. Didn't like it at Cardiff. It was a liability more than anything. So yeah, trying the shooting version. 2 Weapon Beasts went with Spearbacks because they're a bit more expensive and a bit more range on them than Salamanders. But Salamanders can use their breath weapons multiple times in a battle. So it's not just one use only for Salamanders. So that's a toss-up, and I'll have to work out.
So is that since the change to breath weapons? That's like a special rule for Salamanders?
Yep. Salamanders may use more than once per battle or whatever. So they can use it once per turn, which is including the enemies. Actually, I don't think they've got Sun and Shoot, so probably not. But yeah. Then I've already mentioned 13 Skink Gorillas with magnetic short bows. Then I've got a standard unit and 9 Skink Gorillas with blowpipes. Neither scouts, they just both Vanguard. So they're not chameleons, they are Skink Gorillas.
Sure.
And yeah, this is very much a shooty SA list. So I've never played shooty lists, ever. So this is me going in that direction.
Getting your MSU on.
Yeah, I guess so. It doesn't seem a lot there for MSU, but sure.
Yeah. So yeah, a little bit of background to the vampires, I guess, is that Elliot is in the UK scene doing very, very well. And he offered to play me before Cardiff, in fact, with a list that he wasn't going to take to Cardiff, but it's just a bit of fun. And it was just a game for us to catch up on. But I ended up really liking the idea of his list and going with it. So this is 90%. Yeah, 90% him, to be honest. With literally the difference being the Necromaster instead of Adept and the Shrieking Horror I've tried to squeeze in there. Everything else is kind of his. I think he's changed it ever so slightly since we played for little tweaks and things, and I've done the same. But 90% Elliot. So this is just something that I'm trying out. I've not got some Barrow Guard in terms of models and stuff, so that is my model project, and this is very much a Death Star with some other bits going on as well. So yeah, it's a big killy vampire with literally every single rule in the new book, so that's very useful. He's also an adept as well, so he's got some magic to go along with him. A master necromancer with the necromancer staff, pretty basic but pretty good overall in what he offers. The Barrow King, not used that much in the way before, but again obviously goes really well with the Barrow Guard. Gives the unit parry with Hypnotic Pendant, which is very, very useful. And Stalker Standard, which means I cared not about terrain with that unit, which is good because I don't want to get caught out by anything. That's more of a newbie thing as well, so that's nice there. Big unit of 40 Spear Skeletons, a smaller unit of shield, Sword and Board Skeletons, some Bat Swarms and Dire Wolves to fill up core and chaff purposes. The big unit of Barrow Guard with Halberds, and the Black Standard of Zagvoid, which has forever been the auto pick with Barrow Guard. It's like, oh, you've got Barrow Guard, you've got the Black Standard, because it's the only thing they need. The Court of the Damned, which goes in the Sword and Board unit, offering the buff to my units. A Varkalak at the end, and a Shrieking Horror, which is the only thing I can claim is mine in this iteration of the list. So yeah, looking forward to it. And I like vampires. I always like vampires as well.
Yeah, you haven't been them in a little while. So.
Yeah, I guess what this is trying to do is really double up or triple up, I guess, on the infantry changes that there has been to the game, and really see how that affects the game and affects the units. So it's infantry heavy. So we'll see how we go. We played the Cornerstone Deployment, which is this for anybody wanting to read, and I'll take us off the. There you go, we're there. And in terms of this primary, we got Breakthrough. This is kind of like a Breaking Flags. I've seen that before, but it's Breakthrough with the additional thing as if you kill scoring units.
Yeah, simple enough.
Secondaries are there. And
I obviously had the Trusted Advisor thing, so I got to choose two, or roll twice and choose one of them. I found Cardiff difficult, as I've mentioned, in terms of the Saurian secondaries. I would be keen to hear from other Saurian players, if there are any, about what people think about the secondary options for Saurians, because I immediately after this battle decided Trusted Advisor wasn't worth it for me, because I rolled 2 of the 3 and still felt they were unachievable, or difficult, shall we say? Maybe not unachievable, but difficult. Now, obviously, there are decisions that go along with that maybe they would have been more achievable, and we'll probably talk about that when we see the battlefield. But yeah, I didn't think being able to pick 2 of the 3 was much of a benefit, because all 3 were crap for Saurians. So yeah, I'd be interested to hear from other Saurian players. And this one is just stop you getting a terrain feature.
Yeah, and I guess also what kind of lists help you achieve the objectives.
Which ones
currently.
I can choose? So Saurians.
What types of things you'd need in order for them to be better suited to you? I think.
Yeah, exactly.
So you got Forbidden Trespass.
That's my whinge.
I got Demonstrate Superiority, which has changed, and it seems to be changed to be a lot easier to achieve, because there's lots of different ways you can achieve it, which is nice from our point of view. Again, I had no idea on the objective, so this seemed like as good as any to do it. It also married up quite well with the primary, and I don't know whether some of the secondaries marry up better with the primaries, because it just seemed like if I killed one of you, which was Breakthrough anyway, or if you stayed in your deployment, which is obviously me trying to stop you getting breakthrough, then it kind of worked. And one of them, rather than the most expensive scoring unit, was much harder. I thought for you to stop me doing.
Yeah, the fact that you can choose 2 most expensive scoring units, and you only need to destroy one of them, or stop one of them being in my deployment zone. That just seemed like infinitely easier than all 3 of the Saurian options, for example. And I didn't think my opponents with other armies struggled much with their secondary choices either. So I just want to hear about other people's thoughts. Are there some armies that have got a lot harder secondary options? It seems like an extra level of balancing that would need to be done, in my opinion, to give some armies easier ones than others. Because all of us have got to do a secondary objective. So I would really like to hear people's thoughts on that in particular. Yeah. Cool.
And this was deployment. I got the option to drop first and did. Whether that's ever any better for me in the crux of battle, I'm not sure, but it's my go-to. I feel comfortable. I feel safe when I'm dropping for first. And this is even after Vanguard as well. As you can see from my point of view, the vampires. We've got the Varkalak, which has gone right up and vanguarded up there. Then the Shrieking Horror, the Bats, the Graveguard with the characters are in it. It was just showing where they were. At the minute, my models are very difficult to move around, so I'll have to work on that. But so the characters are both in there. The dogs, the sword and board skeletons with the Necromancer and the Coven Throne, and then the skeletons on the edge. Yeah. So as you can see, it's not like there's not lots of things, but you have those 3 big bricks there, and then some other things with the Varkalak and the Shrieking Horror to cause some concern. Hopefully, so interested to see how that goes.
Yeah, definitely. And for myself, I've got the big unit of magnetic shortbows on the left as we're looking at it, the green skinks. Behind them is one of the unit of hunters. Then I've got the Thyroscutus herd, the 2 of them with the magnetic greatbow. The Taurosaur with the skink chief on it is coming up next as we go in towards the center. Then the Tega warriors with the Anarach. I am a little bit behind my deployment zone because I wasn't really I knew you were probably going to run at me with the Barrow Guard, and I wanted some options. Then I got the Raptor Riders, the 12 of them. Obviously, they are missing cowboys. I don't have cowboys in this list.
The Carnival.
Dropped them both. They all got cut viciously. Yeah. Then I got the Guerrilla Warriors, who are slightly out front of the other unit of hunters. The Caimans behind them. Then I got the Spearbacks as we're going right to the right. And then the Skink unit, the Core Skink unit. As for the terrain choice, I chose for you to not be able to have to plunder the hill in your bottom right deployment zone. I only had the choices of the forest on the right-hand side or the hill. The hill on the left, where my green guerrilla magnetic shortbow people are, was slightly into my deployment zone, so I couldn't choose that.
And obviously the water seems a bit of a bad choice.
Yeah. It looks like they're the same, don't know, the hill on the left and the forest on the right. But I'm sure it was only those 2 choices. But yeah, obviously, and the water is, I don't think I could choose the water, could I?
Well, I don't know.
Why could I not choose? Oh, I can't.
You probably didn't because part of this deployment was that our best units were in the middle.
Yes, that is
because of it.
Yeah.
So I think you were able to, but you immediately neglected it because it would be a silly choice.
Yeah. Although thinking about it now, maybe to keep your Barrow Guard in there for turn 3 might have been.
Yeah. Although you choose before deployment, don't you? So
you choose before I knew where anything was.
Changed me.
So, anyway, so like I was going back to the whole secondary, and maybe the user choice might be a way of me getting better at it. But I chose that hill because I wanted to keep that unit of skeletons out of the way for as long as possible. Whereas in hindsight, maybe I should have chosen the forest, force them to come forwards and engage everything I had on that side, force you to do that as well as your other things that you were doing. But either way.
Yeah.
I mean, you can probably tell from the way I'm talking about it those skeletons managed to to plunder that terrain feature with not
Yeah.
too much difficulty.
Yeah, and taking us on to the first turn, I obviously took the first turn, and this is where we managed to get everything moves up as much as it can, with the guys on the right fanning out slightly, knowing that they're going to have to be there for another 2 turns anyway before being able to plunder that. So I'm just looking at, and as on that right hand side for me, I think I've got the numbers to be able to deal with your smaller units, either whether that's through just arising through arising the shooting damage, or actually taking on the units one by one. I'm not sure of the combo charge between those back 3, whether that will how well I'll do all that, but with my unit likely to have steadfast and steady, then the +1 to win might really help there. Otherwise, in the centre, I've got no problems with the Graveguard going into anything, apart from maybe a multi-charge from absolutely everything. I've still got, with Killing Blow, I just think there's such a nice unit, or Dying Blow, sorry.
Dying Blow.
Just such a nice unit to have, and again, with the Arises, they're available. I think they're a pretty strong unit. The only other thing I do, I guess in terms of, we'll call it tactics, but the Varkalak moved up just to be annoying on that left-hand side. But so it couldn't be charged, but obviously if you did want to shoot, you'd have to turn everything to face. So it was more of a just be annoying and get up there while you can. While the Shrieking Horror sort of hangs back for the moment. Does much forward a little bit, but much is so that it can hopefully scream something next turn. I get an Arise off with my Necromancer dude, who obviously has Awakened Skeletons. I get 6 and 5 respectively on these units. And I get, with my second unit, second spell, I get 5 up Aegis on the Shrieking Horror via Hand of Glory, just to make sure that you do go for the Varkalak. Really? That was it?
Yeah.
Over here, so this is kind of the crux of the Saurian.
Magic,
so obviously
yeah.
nothing else happens for me because I've got no shooting apart from the Shrieking Horrors, no range. So this is kind of showing magic and the main part of your movement from here, because there wasn't too much on the rest of the board, but obviously everything, the big focus was the Varkalak.
Yeah. So obviously, when we deployed and everything like that, I did ask you and speak to you about how far the Varkalak could move. You know, we established it was like about 7 miles, and basically, you know, like I wasn't worried that it would get past the Taurosaur and get into that gap. You know, I could have deployed back or rotated and whatnot, and possibly that would have been an option so that the Taurosaur could charge the Varkalak, etc. But it wasn't really a focus because I really wanted to test the shooting capacity. So the Varkalak getting past into that little gap wasn't really something I was worried about.
Yeah.
And also the fact that the magnetic great bows on the Thyroscutus and the Taurosaur, they have quick to fire, march and shoot, accurate. They have all the bonuses that you can have in shooting, so they wouldn't mind at all from rotating round and then looking at the Varkalak like that. They would still be just as shooting effective. So I was fine with that. I obviously moved my magnetic short bows, the strength 4 ones with the veteran, to look at the Varkalak as well, and the unit of hunters with their javelins just to add to it, because I didn't want to get to the stage where I didn't shoot with enough, basically, or left it on 1 wound or something like that. That would have been horrible. In terms of magic, I boost the situation by putting -1 res on the Varkalak. So it's now res 4, which sounds very flimsy for a big beastie. Yeah. And also, I think you dispelled Stars Align to give me rerolls to hit, because obviously that's the better version of my rerolling. But Astral Union is the one that goes off to give the magnetic great bow rerolling their ones to hit, so long as they have a unit within 6 inches, which they did. So yeah, fingers crossed I can kill this blooming thing.
Yeah, and then shooting happens and leaves me on 1 wound remaining.
2 wounds.
2 wounds
got
now. Yes, because
2.
I've got 5. Yeah, of course. Yeah, I'm so used to the old way. But yes, only does 3
I was
wounds with
gutted.
all that shooting. Yeah, so
I was
you had.
gutted. I
I
I had, I think it was, you get 3 shots with each of the great bows.
mm,
I had 9 shots, and I only hit, I think it was 3 times out of 9, and that's including re-rolling ones. And I rolled a 1 on one of the wounds, so it was just horrible. So yeah, I was a bit gutted about that. I
yeah.
mean, the javelins actually did 1 wound themselves, and the skink veteran, I think, hit with everything that he
Mm,
could hit, but the magnetic shortbows didn't do anything.
yeah.
So even though you were and this wasn't even a case of you fortituding it or anything
No,
like
I
that.
think
I mean,
we went
you
out.
were
We were
about
pretty
average,
average.
weren't
Yeah.
you? Pretty average on your fortitude saves. It was just me hitting. I didn't get anything through, and there was a couple of ones on the wounding as well. So yeah, a bit gutted really, because it does mean your Varkalak can do this.
Yeah, and yeah, just get some bonus points where he can, really, Varkalak, and charges in there. And this kind of shows you what we did with the rest of the movement and everything there. Shrieking Horror comes up basically to pounce. I know he's sort of in the thick of things with all the units there and the Graveguard, and have sort of moved up to help. But yeah, is very much getting in there and seeing how well the Shriek does. Varkalak, as you can see, is in there, and the guys on the right stutter forward, basically trying to keep in range and keep everything together on that right side, ready so that they can plunder on turn 3.
Yeah.
We go into magic, and this was quite funny. We did
Yeah, it was.
a classic touch of the Reaper on the spearbacks, and we got it off. And we did. We rolled 1 on the, or 1 or 2.
It was 1 on the
D3.
Yeah,
because it's D3 plus 1, and then 2 ones. We're
yeah,
just wasted everybody's time.
yeah. And that was on top of the fact that you tried to cast Touch the Reaper in turn 1 and failed to cast it
Yes.
with 3 dice.
Yeah.
So Touch the Reaper was starting slowly.
Yeah, it's
basically.
not a happy bunny with that, but it's all good. I did get Soul Blight off on this on these guys, and I think this was because you stopped the other spell.
Yeah, I stopped. Which one was it? I stopped. I can't remember which one it was that stopped. I didn't have a bad dispelling phase.
Yeah, you pumped all your other ones into the other spell I had, which I don't think we see for the rest of the game, because I think you stop it every time. But it was one of the evocation ones, I believe. But yeah, anyway. But you stopped that one. I got this off. Obviously, it's only
I passed
the
my
D6.
discipline, so it's only D6. Yeah,
But I still get 4 off, which is great. And start.
Oh, it's just a cavalry killer, isn't it?
Yeah, start nipping at that unit, as these are the 2 that I have to try and kill in order to get the objective. Over here we have an absolute. So one of the things that and the reason I've tried to get the Shrieking Horror in is because it's gained an extra wound. Now I know a lot of monsters have, but a lot of monsters only get +1 wound. This also gets an extra shriek, and I think that's pretty good for what it does. So I went ahead with 7, and obviously the Taurosaur also has an extra wound. So 7 wounds. And we thought originally it was needed a 2+, but in fact it was needed a 3+ on all of them because of the courage.
9, discipline 8 that they were borrowing. Courage 8.
But I still got it, and he very
7
much
dice, all
died.
3 ups.
All 3 ups, and that was better than I could have imagined. And we're already up on points, even if the Shrieking Horror goes down. So I was very happy, obviously, with.
And I was just, here he goes again.
You're a shooting army. Yeah, I've done better. There we go.
I know.
Work that one out.
Go figure.
But yeah, over here the Varkalak gets some more bonus points for me. In the shape of 170 points from them. Skinks, and turns around again just to say, all right, well, you've got to deal with me in some way. Otherwise, I'm
2 of my shooting units down this time. So
no, the the greedy men out there will realise that I didn't get a vampiric on a 3+
Yeah.
to gain a
Yeah,
win
well,
back.
that would have made you
after that.
impossible to kill with my shooting. You know?
But yeah. So the only downside of an otherwise flawless start to the battle for these guys.
Yeah. Oh, I also lost Whispers of the Veil in my turn 1 through miscasting.
Yes.
So that's the last time I'll use Whispers of the Veil this battle. So it's going great, ladies and gentlemen. And so I plan desperation moves. I need to deal with this Shrieking Horror. I have to deal with it because it will just shriek its way through my cavalry. I needed to deal with the Varkalak as well. Because that's just going to cause problems in my backfield. But the Shrieking Horror will destroy my Raptors, and that's before the Barragard even start doing their things. So I went with this. Now I was aware that I was going to be -1 to hit because the Shrieking Horror can defend a wall, which I'm sure that the big stuff didn't used to be able to get that bonus. But we checked it, and they can. So a big monster is hiding behind a tiny wall.
He's on the right side.
Well, yeah, exactly. That is the bigger wall of the two wall pieces. But I just charged everything in, get a bit of combat res as well. I was really hoping I could kill you before you shrieked, but we will see. Other than that, the magnetic short bows get Stars Align on them, and to try and shoot the Varkalak away. And I also get Augury of Despair on your Shrieking Horror, which does actually reduce your offensive skill as well as your agility. So I was making you as slow as possible, but at the same time as the Thyroscutus herd. So, yeah. Spearbacks have a little fun with some skeletons. Probably nice. I like that. Probably completely pointless because you'll obviously arise them back. But it was just, tempting you into a longish charge. And I wanted to see how good they were as well. So this was a turn up. Considering that 4 units of shooting had tried to kill the Varkalak and done 3 wounds, this 1 unit with Stars Align kills you with just 1 unit of shooting. And no -1 res on you.
Yes.
So, I mean, should I be really happy about this? Yes. But am I still unhappy overall because he was still alive in turn 2? Yes.
The difference is, I guess, the Stars Align off on the unit. Obviously, didn't have it before.
And I rolled a lot better.
And you rolled better. But yeah. But I think I remember it only just doing it as well. It wasn't like a massive overkill.
No way.
So.
And if you'd have got a vampiric, it wouldn't have killed you straight up.
I think that's what it was, which is arguably unlucky.
Whoa.
But yeah, so good fun. But he's finally dead.
Finally dead.
Over here in the combat, things kind of go as you assume. Only you don't do too many wounds. I think I saved one of the thing, but you don't actually do too many wounds to me. The wall does actually play a big impact.
Oh yeah, massively.
Which means I'm able to scream a little bit with. I think I've got 4 wounds left at this point, and I get some more cav again, just plinking away at them just to see.
Yeah, you did roll A1, which helped me.
Yeah,
not losing too many.
Overall combat res and everything means that the Shrieking Horror dies, and you get vengeance on my 2 monsters.
Indeed, yes. Yeah, just the issue being I've lost my Taurosaurus and half my Raptor unit now. So meanwhile, I had to chaff the Barragard to stop them from charging into the flank of my Raptors because I decided to stay where I was with those units that had charged into the Shrieking Horror.
And see how that goes. So I clear up the chaff, and the rest of my movement looks thusly. My dogs kind of go up there. I spoke about this at the time. Actually, is that I'm not too bothered about chaffing, in terms of you getting the charge on me for any reason. No. It was more just to keep, because obviously you've got those 2 units that I need you not to get out of the deployment zone and to kill. So it was just kind of to keep just a bit of a roadblock to stop you moving everywhere. So the dogs are really just there just to see what they can stop, really,
Yeah.
and be annoying.
And
Was our
yeah,
thing.
probably this picture is a easier one to represent why I decided to stay put as well, and not overrun with everything. Um, because the Raptors and my Tegu unit, they're trying to get out of my deployment zone, as well as avoiding the Barragard. Now, in theory, that should have meant pass on through, keep going. But what I was worried about was that the bat swarms would charge the flank of my Raptor riders, and my Raptors would be stuck there forever trying to kill bat swarms. Because bat swarms are horrible at reducing stats. Like, they reduce your
Yeah,
offensive skill and your
and
agility and all
and they'd
sorts.
be in your flank, which would be quite
And
tough for
distracting,
you
sorry,
to.
not agility, to turn around and
Yeah,
destroy. And plus, bat swarms might think a wound off here and there, which, when you've only got 5 cavalry models left, is big. And I felt that I couldn't overrun for that reason, because then your Barragad would just turn around and wipe the floor with everything. Whereas this way, I had a chance of pushing through via killing some chaff, and a lot of things would change, etc.
Yeah.
So that was kind of why I was thinking by not overrunning, but it is a problem.
Yeah. And as you can see in that top right corner, now that I've taken us off, that the skeletons kind of just moved up towards it. They've already plundered, because at the start of their turn they were on it, so they've moved down the classic 4 inches, and we'll see what we can do. I think there might have been even a charge there.
I think I'm wondering when that
a
was. It
long
might have been.
charge.
Was it this turn or last turn? This
I
is turn
think-
3, isn't it?
Yeah, I think it was this turn, because it was like I needed a 6 on dice, and if I got into the salamanders, I would have been right up in your grill. So I obviously didn't get it, but I moved because of the new changes to the rules. You move 4 as a base, so everything
with
moves.
a failed charge.
It moves 4, I believe, and your movement characteristic or something like that.
No, it's a flat 4 inches.
Yeah. Which coincidentally was how much I would be able to move, because my general's all the way over there. So that is how it all looked when we talk movement. Moving on, and I'll bring us back into the fray. Why not? I get a hand of glory for the Aegis, and some more skellies on board with a rise. So so we
everything that
continue.
I killed with my spearbacks was back.
Yeah, it was.
As I expected at the time. So
with a vengeance. With a vengeance.
Yeah.
Over here I kill the chaff and turn to face like so. Just basically stopping the after what we talked about. If you do go into the dogs and try to slingshot, you're gonna need. I'm not even sure a 12 gets you out at that point. No. So I've got counter charges, and those dogs it makes them even more annoying for your point of view. Which takes us on to the Saurians' turn 3.
Yeah. So how did I react to that? Well, I reacted pretty much the only way I could, which was to try and prolong my Raptor riders and Tegu warriors' survival. I'd kind of given up on getting them out of my deployment zone. So the secondary, I kind of realized that you were going to win, and you'd already stopped me winning mine. So the secondary point was kind of already yours at this point, and I didn't think it was worth fighting for, if that makes sense. So I wasn't really focused on trying to stop you winning yours. I just felt it was just too achievable for you, especially at this stage. So I gave up doing that and just focused on preserving points. So with that in mind, I got my Raptors out of line of sight of the Barragard. And the Tegu warriors similarly moved so far away that I think it was, well, I don't think you could get through the gap, to be honest, with everything there. So even if it was a 6, it was impossible to finish or whatnot. And similarly, I moved my Thyroscutus herd back as far as I could with the magnetic short bows to try and shoot your dogs off and get those points.
It was at this point that we sort of realised how useful the reform maneuver is to larger blocks now, and how they've changed that.
And how quick it is.
For the better for infantry. Whether it's better, I'm not sure, but in terms of infantry, it does make them a bit more manoeuvrable.
And cavalry, to be honest, because it was really simple, just picking up my Raptors, moving them half their movement or their mobility, and just plonking them down within that distance.
Yeah.
It almost felt a bit light troopsy,
Yeah.
but without moving very far because it's half the mobility. Does that make sense? It kind of like felt like I was just picking them up and putting them down within a certain distance, and provided that got out
That's
of the
because that's
Barragan's
how
line of sight.
light troops works now.
Well,
That
yeah,
is exactly how
exactly.
light troops
So,
works.
yeah, so that was quite good in that way, I felt. But other than that, it was just a case of moving the spearbacks and the Kaimans to threaten your Beauregard and your bats, just to give you a bit of a thought about, being a bit careful over there. And realistically, I wasn't challenging those massive blocks of skeletons with anything on this side.
Yeah.
But I moved the guerrilla warriors into your flank just for funsies, because I knew I wasn't getting through them. But better there than being charged in front.
Yeah.
Because you weren't really bothered. I think you weren't really bothered about my shooting the dogs off at all. I don't know what you were stopping. Was it damage spells on someone?
No, I'm not sure. Yeah, it might have been damage, but yeah, I mean, largely, I think I'm not sure exactly how the shooting worked, but I was like, well, they've not really. I'm not really bothered by chaff. It's just whether or not they can keep you there, But so
and they've done their job.
Yeah.
So, yeah. And with Stars Align and Astral Union on both my units, dogs go poof. So yeah, shooting's good when it hits and does stuff, and especially with buffs. So yeah. The spearbacks come up and do 4 wounds to the bat swarms, which was decent. So not too bad there with not too many shots. So happy with that.
Especially with the distraction.
Yeah, into your turn.
Yeah.
Well, distracting didn't help the shooting, but yeah. Hard target 1, you mean?
Yes, sorry.
For the skirmisher stuff. Yeah.
And onto my turn. Not much really to do with my big blocks now. I just have my blocks left. No real extra trap apart from the bats, of course. And the bats don't actually stay there as well. The bats do come.
They nearly did.
They nearly did. I moved them up there just to be a threat because they would have been out of everybody's line of sight. But I thought, you know what? If you are charging them with anything, it means that you're not getting away from my graveguard, or indeed you're coming into the graveguard. I kind of wanted to. I'd done so much work over the course of the battle on that cavalry unit that I needed to make it difficult for them to run away. In the same vein as the dogs, really, just to be annoying and to make you think and see if just so you can eke out some mistakes maybe, or just make it really difficult for you to run out of the way. So that's why they moved back. Really?
Yeah, exactly. I was already plotting while the bats were out of the way as to how I was getting out of there. And then you moved them back in the way, and I was like, ah.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
On my turn, Touch of the Reaper kills another one. Really stand out performance today. Yeah.
Awesome spell.
It's getting better slowly though. Not cast, 1 kill.
Yeah.
The sky's the limit. And I get Dead Arise with my last 2 dice, I think. 2 or 3, I can't remember.
Yeah.
Just again to continue the chaff being annoying thing and stop. What I didn't want, if I was in this situation, was for you to have combat res into my graveguard unit. I still don't think I mind, because I think they're a really, really good unit, and with the fact that they've got bodyguard, so they have stubborn and BSB and steadfast and steady on it would be everything. I kind of it's just an extra thing. So without the combat res, I'm really happy. With the combat res, I just need to make sure things go averages, So it's that's why I did that basically.
Yeah, and you didn't cast Astral Union on my unit.
It was just already there.
It was already there. Yeah, exactly. Oh yeah, of course that wasn't a graphic. That was actually the card. Was it? Oh no, it was a graphic. Yeah.
No, it was. Anyway. It was a graphic, but it's covering up.
It was still there.
That was used for that. So it's just to show you.
Yeah.
That they had.
Makes sense. I like it. I like it a lot. It looked crisp. Anyway, yeah. In my turn, yeah. So I wasn't happy that the bats have been moved back in my way, but this is a funny one because the whole game we've been talking about how bats were really good at sinking into a unit and just locking it in place because they're really hard to kill. And then I decided the only way I was getting the raptors out was to charge them and push through them. And in theory, I was like, yeah, that could work. But I was also thinking about the Caimans charging into the rear as well to help out to make sure I got through the bats.
Mm.
And I decided last minute that the Raptors would be able to do it.
Yeah.
And get away. And because of that, I didn't chaff your barrow guard with the spearbacks. I decided to keep the spearbacks there and have one round of shooting your barrow guard with my magnetic short bows on the other side as well. And just to ignore the skeletons that you'd risen up in front of my Tegu, just keep backing off as though I don't want to fight no barrow guard at all. So yeah, I went for this with my Raptors and then promptly left them to it, which was funny, I think, because I already know that the bats take a bit of killing. And the Caimans decided to just go back to where they were and challenge the skeletons. Because what we've all said about flank charges and stuff like that, and breaking steadfast and all these things, I figured that if the Caimans were in the front of those skeletons, the Caimans aren't swift stride, so you don't get your spear bonuses. I'd got a 4-up armor and I'd got res 4. So in theory, the skeletons with spears wouldn't have been great against them, and even better if I got my skinks into your flank.
Because spears focus on swift stride as their main antagonist.
Yeah, exactly. So that was why I moved the Caimans back. Also, you committed your necromancer block to coming this side of the rock. So I was like, okay, right, pin down that other skeleton unit, etc. Yeah. But there's a lot of skeletons, so I wasn't confident in that move. But anyway, and you see the Tegu warriors have sort of like reformed away from the Dead Arise people. I got entwining roots just to stop you from charging too successfully, because I wanted to be the one flanking you. And I thought, actually, I've moved this skin so badly that technically, if you did manage to get a charge off on the Caimans, I might not even be able to see your flank. So I quickly put entwining roots up, which you didn't care about either. So that was good. Yeah. Shooting wise, I killed a fair few skeletons with some blowpipes, which is handy. But they're nearly at what they started the battle with.
And you did a fair few shots to my graveguard. So this is 7 plus. It's actually plus 2. So you did 9 wounds with all told in your shooting, which is obviously very good.
Not too bad. I mean, obviously, if there's no arises for the rest of the battle, then I reckon I can kill them.
Yeah.
Well, no, I probably can't. Probably run out of turns. But it would help. And I was also thinking, once I'd moved my units, I was thinking, oh yeah, if I don't get through the bats, those Raptors are in a bit of trouble. So, yeah.
And unfortunately, the bats showed their resilience.
Fortitude.
And it's the minus in your offensive skill and distracting combo.
And 5 wounds each.
And amazing. 5 wounds each as well. So yeah, just everything all told. They do have AP1 as well, which I'm shocked at. The fact that they've got that.
I think mathematically it was actually impossible for me to kill them, or was it? No, I needed to do 3 more wounds and it would have poofed them.
Yeah.
So if I'd have spiked a bit more, or if I'd have got magic off on my unit, which I think that's probably what you were stopping, wasn't it?
Yes, it was. Yeah. I didn't want any rerolls to hits of any kind actually. So that's why Entwining Roots went off.
Oh yeah, this is the one that I had a really low magic though, as well, which didn't help.
So I stopped. I put all my dice into the main one, Stars Align, let Entwining Roots off, and I think you might have had 2 dice to have a go at the
Astral Union.
But you didn't get it off.
Didn't get it off. That's right. Yeah. So the Raptors were on their own, and ergo they couldn't manage to kill the bats.
Yeah.
So after all that manoeuvring, the Barrow Guard have got their prey.
They have. And it's an auto charge, so it's just a case of getting in and moving in. The skeletons go for it as well, because why not at this point? However, the skeletons do not make it, as you can see. And I'll take us away, to show their predicament with someone in the front. Again, I'm kind of the point that there's so many there at this point that I'm not overly fussed by them. Even
and also,
in the flank.
We were very. I kind of became aware of losing my rank bonus for being in a forest as well. It wasn't something that I was really that keen on. That I fully assessed it. So if
Yeah.
you're shouting at the screen saying, "Well, it's a crap flank charge, don't do it," yeah, I did work that out.
Yeah.
So,
We had a little look at the rules because there was previously a disrupted, but it's now disrupting, and a
or
unit doesn't.
disruptive or something like that.
Yeah. A
one or the
unit
other.
doesn't become disrupted, but you can be disruptive for someone.
Yes.
But because they're in a forest, obviously they reduce their rank bonus to zero, and you would disrupt someone by the amount of rank bonus you have. So they would just still have this charge on the flank, but they wouldn't obviously get the rank bonus stuff that they need to disrupt.
So I would be disruptive to you, but by -0, which probably isn't all that disruptive.
Which
really.
does nothing.
Yeah. So that was how it
doesn't stop steadfast and steady from what we could tell.
Indeed.
And it was one of those really. Going back into the rest of the movement is literally all I have is that skeleton sword and board, and they just moved up so that they could be useful with magic. Really,
I think you were trying to shoot. You weren't.
The first one was that I wanted to be in range of everything, so I wanted to shoot on the left, but I also wanted to be within 6 inches of this unit, managing to get 8 back from their D3 plus 4.
After killing 9.
It's a D3 plus 5 because it's him, because it's the Necromancer, and he's got Gates of the Netherworld, I think is the rule. So you killed 9 and I got 8 back, and that just shows their
utility.
Madness. Really. And he gets some more skeletons for kicks and giggles. I also get Spectral Blades on these just in case it matters, meaning I'm now Strength 4, AP 4, and I also have Steadfast against Caimans. So I'd be wounding on a 3 and killing on a 3 with all those attacks, and that seemed like a very, very, very nice spell.
It's just don't charge anymore.
We also talked about the utility of these with bats as well. Obviously the bat swarms all have 5 attacks each. If their
Strength 4, AP 4
attacks,
wow,
Strength 4, they go up from Strength 2, AP 1 to Strength 4, AP 4, and suddenly those bats become killers, absolute killers.
Yeah, I mean that goes back to the argument that Elliot was having. Is he doesn't have a Necromancer master. Spectral Blades is only available as a number 5 spell, so that's only possible if you have the Necromancer master.
Yeah.
And I think just that scenario alone, it's good on skeletons. It's amazing on bats. It's great on dogs. There's so much in this army that benefits from that spell.
Yes.
I think it's a real good argument for having the master. So.
Absolutely. And going back to what you said, the dogs as well, we kind of worked out that having them at a 2x8, which is standard previous editions, is actually not the best or the most efficient for them. They do get the movement, obviously, but going in a 4x2 rather than a 2x4 is probably best because they've been upped actually in terms of stats. So they, I think they have AP1, and I think they have 2 attacks each as well. So there's actually a decent amount of attacks on them. So
you looked at units of dogs for core, didn't you, briefly?
Oh, yeah, I did. Yeah, I did, because they get support attacks too as well. So everybody in the unit will attack, and they get Devastating Charge plus 1 Strength and AP, I think. So arguably they're a very, very good unit. And you then start to look at all my chaff pieces, and they become. So it was a really interesting thing that I hadn't thought of, that Elliot clearly had, and that started surfacing after a couple of games. This game as well, in particular.
But we get distracted.
Yes, and
because finally the Raptors go down.
And it's a big one in terms of the battle. Obviously, it's points to start off with, and that was a big chunk of maybe 500.
This was just your vampire, wasn't it?
Yeah.
No one else needed to attack. He did exactly 4 wounds.
He's re-rolling at strength 7, God knows other things, and he just wiped the floor with them. But in terms of obviously the big points for the units, the objective, and everything else that goes with it, this was quite a big point in the battle in terms of that. And it was and really, it's them that did it, but the bats made it possible. So
they did.
The bats arguably MVP because of that. And we go on to your turn after.
Yeah, I spotted an opportunity. Spearbacks into your Necromancer. Because of the big rock, it meant that I couldn't complete to get more than I couldn't complete in certain ways the
Maximize,
charge,
yeah.
so it meant I could get 2 guys attacking your necromancer, which is
Yeah.
amazing because that
Mm.
is points to kill, and
It
so the
is.
spearbacks had a job to do, basically, and they were going to go and try and do it. But other than that, in terms of movement, it was avoid everything.
Yeah.
And these guys just moved to avoid everything and get some shots off. Got stars align on them as well to help a little bit. But realistically, I don't expect to be doing much. I think this. Oh no, I mean this was actually why I got stars. No, they were expected to do something. They were trying to finish off the bats, and they didn't by 1 wound. The
5 out of
bats
6
go on.
wounds. Yeah.
Yeah. So that was with re-rolling to hit at strength 4. I still didn't manage to finish off.
And again, going back again, this is where we looked at the bats, and we took a bit of time over this battle to like really look at different aspects of the battle and different units, because we were saying about how much we liked this unit, in terms of their utility and the extra strength that the guy gives them and everything like that. But also in terms of the bats, it was just another thing that became apparent where D6 plus 4 arise,
awaken,
and you just well, that's 2 bats every time, and you just I really like this unit. It's just something that I'd really like the sound of in terms of the bats. But moving on, some more shooting kills some more skeletons.
Just for plinkage, really. Don't expect to be doing much over there now.
And the big one,
job done. Spearbacks. Yeah, they can do it in combat. I mean, they know for a fact that whenever it happens, so that you turn around and stuff, they're dead. They're gonna die. You know, the Court of the Damned will be a problem. Combat rest is a problem. But killed the necromancer, and that's more points than there were. So
huge 300 point swing, even if I do get them. Really good from the salamanders there. Sorry, not salamanders, spearbacks. They have hatred.
Yes, they do have hatred.
Which is
first strike.
Hatred. First strike hatred. So something to bear in mind if you are a SA player. Interest. It surprises us both, really.
Yeah, I mean, I knew it was there, but I don't know how long they've had it. I don't think I've played spearbacks in a while.
No,
I don't tend to play weapon beasts, if I'm honest. But this was a nice surprise, and
really good.
I'm definitely looking to exploit it.
Over here, I charged with the Barragard, and you fled. Oops.
I did,
but it meant that I did have a 6 on dice charge to get in.
With the zombies.
With the zombies, and if they did, the risen skeletons, if they did, that would really push the battle. It's a big 1,000 point swing there.
Nearly,
1,000 points.
About 900 points.
But unfortunately, I do not get in.
Didn't get
with them. And this is how it all looks. I charge him with the skeletons on the right just to see how they get on, and the bat to reduce the offensive
bloody
skill
bat
and everything. So really showing his utility there. In this battle, my spears and actually the vampire or the paramours, I should say, on the Coven Throne really go to town on the salamanders, and I run and I catch you, but obviously you just bump into the big rock in front of me.
Yep, indeed.
And over here it was a bit. I didn't kill them all in combat. I will say that I did have steadfast, so advantage position of old, so the +1 to wound. You killed my bat and killed a skeleton, but I think I did 5 wounds overall, possibly 6. And
I think it was 5.
all the combat res happened, and I ran and caught you down.
Commons. I mean, I kind of expected I didn't have enough on that flank to deal with the skeletons. I probably should have played it a lot more defensively and not even challenged you, but we wanted to make a game of it over there.
Yeah, definitely. And to see things.
And it was interesting seeing the spells, spectral blades and stuff, and the flank charge rules and stuff like that. So.
But even without, they proved to be pretty impressive, much more than I thought they would. And thus endeth the battle. There we are. A fun time, a really chilled battle actually from our point of view, just to explore lots of different things. And in the count up, it was a 14-6.
So there you go.
Fairly tight.
And points-wise, we weren't too different, really, were we?
No. The
purely an objective win, actually.
+1, yeah. So Oh yeah, so
Well,
I would've
secondary and primary is 4.
Sure. So it's slightly wrong then. This one it should be a 15.5 then on that regard, because there's more than 200 points, and if it's 5%, that is.
Oh,
over
okay,
9.
sure.
So yeah.
All right, fair enough. Yeah. We thought it was around 15.5 or 14.
Yeah. So there you go. But we'll call it 14. It's down as 14.6, and as the guys from Fantasy Wargaming Podcast know, once it's on here, it's official.
And those guys are back, aren't they? They're coming back. I don't know when the date of their next thing is. But...
Little plug. Fantasy Wargaming Podcast and Paired Weapons Podcast are planning to return with some more content. So do go check them out on all the social media things. This is just showing the objectives went my way. But yes, on all the social media things, on the forums, on Twitter and Facebook, and wherever you download your podcasts, but probably on the same place that they normally are for Paired Weapons and Fantasy Wargaming Podcast. Check them out and go support them guys, because they do some great stuff and a really good listen as well as all that stuff as you normally know. And we've got some more battles incoming, and probably going to try out a bit of Warhol action as well. Yeah,
got some Warhol battles to come, because they're making leaps and bounds in their progress as well. Yeah. Great. Thanks for watching that one, folks. Really enjoying it. It was nice to have a nice friendly battle and try out some new things. Let us know your thoughts on the new lists and ways to progress in the future, along with your thoughts on the changes to the 9th age as it goes on. Hopefully looking to head towards a bit more stability going forward.
I think so, yeah. Use all these videos as a way to put any of your feedback down, and we'll pass it on to the powers that be where we can. Also, as we said earlier in the battle report, if you've got any chat about the SA
secondary objectives. Yeah. Also the season's pack in general, because I did use Trusted Advisor as well in this one. So that'd be good to hear.
Ways to play it, what's good, what's bad, what lists work with it, etc., etc. And just anything else you want to say.
Of course, always.
Yeah,
say
Tommy. Yes. So until next time, thank you very much, Hyper Chief. It's a lovely.
Thank you very much, Lucas. Oh yeah, that's beautiful. I enjoyed it.
Thank you very much for yourselves for watching, and we will see you next time.
Later.
Get your big soul back, relax.